we're going to go to this question now. And it's from Deborah Collins. Question: Iran, Israel, USA. Do you think this will open the Eastern question with Turkey and fulfilling Daniel 11:44? I think we need to pray again in order to start this. I have a lot to say. There is so much to talk about here. And I'm just going to go as long as God tells me to. And for those that have to go, they can come back and watch later. And for those that can stay, have your Bibles handy. We're going to be tearing up the pages. So let's actually try not to tear your pages. I'm very delicate with my Bible. Mine doesn't look all torn up. I have like one little corner that's torn, and that made me cry almost. So let's pray, and we're going to jump right into this. Lord, please give us wisdom. The events are fast fulfilling, and we're going to answer some very critical, demanding, and contentious questions right now regarding what's happening in the Middle East and your message. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. First, we're going to take a quick look at some of these headlines, and then we're going to show you exactly what's happening right now. If we can share the screen. U.S. has struck 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Trump says joining Israel air campaign. This is unprecedented that America is getting involved at this stage of the game. This is going to change a lot. This shifts the path of the war. I mean, you guys don't even understand what this means, especially in regards to Bible prophecy, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. Trump confirms U.S. carried out very successful attack on Iran. I think I need to share my audio. Sorry, let me do this one more time. Okay.
Donald Trump says America has carried out an attack on Iran. He's posted to Truth Social saying we have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites and that all planes are now outside of Iran airspace. President Trump also adding now is the time for peace. The White House a moment ago just releasing that information as well. That is their press release, is Donald Trump's Truth Social statement, sending it out to the world. Donald Trump obviously said that he was going to give it 2 weeks to wait. Obviously, that was just talk because he has been in the Situation Room this morning. Significant government officials have been by his side, and this is the result that we are now seeing 3, what he calls successful strikes on Iran nuclear sites. This is a significant escalation.
Absolutely, and we did see in reports all over different media outlets about the bombers that were stationed at Guam
B-2s
as well. I think that was just a sort of a telltale sign that something was brewing and something was coming.
Now, there was a feeling that they were going to use those B-2 bombers to drop bunker busters. They are the only planes capable of doing that. We do not have that information at the time.
Okay, before we look at any of the other news, I want to address a bunch of concerns that I know people are going to have, a bunch of questions, a bunch of statements saying, oh, this is, frigorous. This is, we know who the king of the north is. And I'm going to answer from the Bible all of these things, address all of this. People are saying there's nothing to see here, nothing to see, it's nothing. When the Bible is telling us things and we hear people saying there's nothing to see, peace, peace, and then what? Sudden destruction. This is very, very scary when people are saying there's nothing to see here, especially when there's so much overwhelming evidence. All this that's being happening right now is talked about here. Erdogan vows, that's the president of Turkey. Erdogan vows to boost Turkey's missile production as Israel-Iran war escalates. Turkey is one of the powerhouses of the Middle East area as far as military goes. It's second to America. So this is not a tiny thing that we're talking about. Iran warns U.S. intervention in conflict with Israel risks all-out war. Jesus said, before I come, there's going to be war and rumors of wars. And what kind of war? The Bible actually says. So, and we're going to show this to you. Erdogan attempts to rally the Muslim world against Israel. This is, I mean, okay. First, I need to address a couple things, and then we're jumping in here. This right here is a booklet that Amazing Discoveries has put out, and it's every quote that Ellen White ever said on the book Daniel Revelation by Uriah Smith. I really highly suggest that you get this. It's called Exposing Deceptions on Daniel and the Revelation. You can either download it or we can send this to you. Next thing. This is a book called The Eastern Question. The Eastern Question by A.T. Jones. We started republishing this. I highly recommend that everybody take a look at this. Now, what is the Eastern Question? Some people have never heard of the Eastern Question. And then some people have never heard that there's something called the Western Question. So there's an Eastern Question, a Western Question. This was foundational Adventism if we go back 100 years. But it disappeared. And there's main reasons for this, big reasons for this. Should it have? No. Did it? Yes. Why? This is one of the reasons. This book right here, The Certainty of the Three Angels' Message by Louis F. Weir. This is one of the most dangerous books that have ever been written. This is what Ellen White's talking about when she said books of a new order. This is spiritualism. Now, if you read it, you're going to think, wow, they quoted Ellen White. They did a whole bunch of stuff. They're talking about the final events. Seems great. The problem is, this book, it puts forth a set of hermeneutical Bible principles, rules of prophetic interpretation, 13 of them, and they directly oppose this, which is called Miller's Rules. And Ellen White has instructed that all Seventh-day Adventists need to use Miller's Rules for study. Well, Miller's Rules and Weir's Rules are directly opposite from each other. So either you follow these or you follow these. And I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, and I believe that we should follow the counsel that the Spirit of Prophecy says. So I'm going with these. And you know why? Because every single one of them has Bible verses to go along with them. They're just called Miller's Rules because he put them together. Now, critical that you understand this. We're going to take a look right now at something unprecedented. I don't even know where to start. There's so many places that we could be talking about. Okay, the initial question was Daniel 11, verse 44. Go to Daniel 11, verse 44. Okay, we have even more stuff that just came in. This says Russia tells U.S. not to strike Iran, warns of nuclear catastrophe. I don't have that one pulled up. Let me pull it up. This is worth pulling up. Can you send that one to me? And we'll pull this on the screen. And then people are going to see why. Oh, wow. This presentation that we're working on is more important than I thought it was. And we've been working on this for a week. God's timing is the right timing. Russia tells U.S. not to strike Iran, warns of nuclear catastrophe. Okay, everyone, I need you to pay attention. Have your pen and paper in hand right now. We're going to be going through 1 billion Bible verses in the next few minutes. Okay, so hold on to your hats. Daniel 11, 44. If I'm going too fast, post some questions because I'm just going to be zipping through here. The questions come to me about a minute delay because of the stream, so I can't respond in real time. It'll be a little bit of a delay, but if you send them, the team will send them over to me. This is a team effort to put on a live stream and have everything going forward. So thank you to the team. Daniel 11. Okay. There's a concept called the Eastern question. What does it mean? The question is here's what it means. The question is, what is the East have to do with Bible prophecy? That's the Eastern question. What does the East have to do with Bible prophecy? And then the Western question is, what does the West have to do with Bible prophecy? Well, a lot of people actually talk about the Western question without even knowing it in regards to Sunday law and the mark of the beast and the image of the beast being formed in America. This is the part of the Western question. It's part of the Western question. Okay, we need to get this idea here. Daniel 11. And I know I'm going to blow everybody's concepts out of the water here because there's so many evangelists and pastors and teachers that have this so confused. And why? Because they've gone and done spiritual interpretation. Jacob, can you grab me these quotes on the spiritualizing of the scriptures? I really need those, the literal versus the spiritual. If you can grab those for me. We're going to start in Daniel 11. And actually, we're going to start in Daniel 7. Why are we starting Daniel 7? This is like fundamental prophecy seminar stuff right here in Daniel chapter 7. Okay? No one's going to argue with this because everybody knows this. So Daniel 7, and if we read verse 16, and you know what? I almost wonder, well, okay. In order for us to move quick, I'm going to read from my Bible, and you know what? I'm going to actually open up my whiteboard, and then we can kind of make some notes of this. So I can write this down on the screen so that you guys can see. If you haven't yet, grab a piece of paper and a pen. Take screenshots, do whatever you need to do. Okay. I'm just pulling this up here. So we're starting in Daniel chapter 7. So Daniel 7, and we're going to read verse 16 and 17. And there are some very critical points here that you've probably missed. Maybe move your mouse just slightly to the side. There we go. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth. Okay, so we're going to write down this word here, truth. So Daniel wanted to know the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation. So truth equals interpretation. Everybody good with that? Truth is interpretation. So the not truth is the symbolized version, which is beasts and horns and wings and all this kind of stuff. But then the plain truth, the plain straight truth is the interpretation. Okay? I'll make that a capital I. Verse 17, the beasts, okay, So now we're going to do something here. We're going to do symbol / truth. So we have here the beasts. The symbol is beasts, which are four kings, right? Most of you should know this. Okay, if you're studying Bible prophecy, this is very, easy to understand. This is very common knowledge. Wow. Okay. Jacob sent me way more quotes than I was expecting he would send me right now. So we'll read through some of these. I'll have to pull them on the screen. So we have symbol, which is beasts, and literal kings. So when we see the word beast in prophecy, do we think it's a literal beast? Well, no, obviously not. If we see a beast with, lion's head and leopard's body and bear's feet and wings and four-headed leopard and stuff like this, this is not literal. Now, that symbol needs to be interpreted into a literal or the truth, which is the word kings. So the word kings, is that a symbol? Well, no, that would be breaking the Bible rules. Do you see this? Symbol is beasts, literal truth is kings. Okay? So now let's go to Daniel 11. Because again, we don't want to use human reasoning. We want to use pure Bible teaching. Daniel 11, and we're going to look at verse 2. I'm going to make it blue because I do all Bible verses in blue. Daniel 11, verse 2. And now I will show thee the truth. Oh, wow. Look at this. Which means he's going to show him what? The interpretation. Is he going to show him symbols? No. He's not going to show him symbols. He's going to show him the direct truth, the plain, straight truth. Okay. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings. Oh, now we're confirmed because it has the word kings. We have the truth being shown here. Kings. So now we don't have any symbols to interpret. It's just kings. And, the first ones are in Persia. The next ones are Grecia. And then we continue through. Well, this is fascinating and very simple. Now, before we continue, you have to get this really, do not let your preconceived ideas control what the Bible is trying to say here. We're letting the Bible interpret itself, okay? Really critical. Now, I'm going to share my screen again for the quotes, because these quotes are very important, very important. And then we'll come back and we'll continue through Daniel 11. We're not sticking to Daniel 11. Believe me, there's a ton of other places we're going today. But for the argument's sake, we have to start there. The truths most plainly. Okay. And this first one, we're looking for GC 598.3. Now, again, what did we just read? We just read that the truth, the plain truth, no symbols, so it's easy. And now look what's being said here. The truth most plainly. Does that mean it's garbed in symbols? No, it's not garbed in symbols. Revealed in the Bible have been involved in doubt and darkness by learned men. who with a pretense of great wisdom. So these teachers look like they're super smart, great wisdom, amazing teachers. Teach that the scripture have a mystical, secret, and spiritual meaning not apparent in the language employed. So when we're reading Daniel 11, even though it says truth, it's not what's actually written there. It's the spiritual version of that, because it's not talking about real kings and real north and real south. It's actually spiritualized. But right here, we're being told that these men are false teachers. I'm not saying this. I just have to abide by it. It was to such a class that Jesus declared, "You know not the scriptures, neither the power of God." This is strong stuff. I highly recommend you go and read the rest of this in context, but we just don't have time to read it all right now. We're going to jump to the next quote, which is on page GC, page 360.1. GC 360.1. Concerning the popular system of interpreting or misinterpreting the scriptures, Wolf wrote, "The greater part of the Christian church have swerved from the plain sense of scripture and have turned to the phantomizing system of Buddhists who believe that the future happiness of mankind will consist in moving about in the air, and suppose that when they are reading Jews, they must understand Gentiles, and when they read Jerusalem, they must understand the church." And this is what's happening in Daniel 11. People are reading Daniel 11, which the angel said, "I'm going to give you the truth." And he talks about the kings, which is a literal word. And people say, no, this is not talking about the locations in Israel. This is talking about the church. Now, is that true? And, the dangerous place is on either side of the ditch. You're either spiritualizing it, or you're saying that it's literal Jewish people who are living today, instead of reading what the Bible says. The Bible doesn't say Jews in Daniel 11. It's talking about a location, not people. So let's continue to Acts of the Apostles. AA 474.2. The followers of Christ will meet with the enticing words against which the apostle warned the Colossian believers. He will meet with the spiritualistic interpretations of the scriptures. That's what we're seeing right now. But he is not to accept them. Don't believe it when they spiritualize things that are literal words. We are not to spiritualize away these scriptures. Okay, we're going to go to the next quote. 1 SM, First Selected Messages, 196.3. Physicians, have you been doing the master's business and listening to fanciful and spiritualistic interpretations of the scriptures? Interpretations which undermine the foundations of our faith. So these spiritualizing away, those same people are going to tell you, this is bad news. The Eastern question, nothing to see there. Uriah Smith, nothing to see there. Don't even consider taking a look at these things. I think I have, let me see here. I think this is the book. This was sent to me from one of our team members. This book right here, it looks incredibly old. And it looks incredibly old because it is incredibly old. This book is copyrighted, and I'm going to be very careful with it. Now, you guys can't see that, but it says 1888. This is a very old book. Now, what book is this? If you can read here, it says Bible Readings for the Home Circle. Okay? This was a staple book in all Adventist homes. Now, if I go to the contents at the start of the book, I'm going to go to the prophetic sections. And right here, you probably won't be able to read it. On page 291, it says the Eastern question. The Eastern question on page 391. So what are we going to do? We're going to go to page 391. This was understood by all Adventists. It was in our main book here, Bible Readings for the Home Circle. Many of you have probably heard of this book. You have to get the 1888 edition. The modern ones, they changed it all. Page 391. Right here. Oh boy. Okay. It's going to shock you what's on the page here. It's basically showing what's on the news today. It says the Eastern question. It has Turkey highlighted. It has the Persian bear. And it has the Russian Empire. And it starts on the 11th chapter of Daniel. And Tyre is a literal historical prophecy, the longest and most remarkable of its kind in all the scriptures, beginning with the first year of Darius the Mede and passed through the remainder of Persian history, and then continues on. But it's a literal historical prophecy. And if we go down to where it talks about verse 40 to 44, this is what everybody's talking about right now. I'm going to put a bookmark here for just a second. I would find one of these if I were you. You can also download digital from our website, the 1888 edition of Bible Readings for the Home Circle. We're going to come back to this guy in a moment. We'll just set him here. Okay. That wasn't the last quote. We're going to go now to 5 BC 1089.1. Okay. We're going to jump down here. And yet, though his doctrine seemed new to the people, it was in fact not a new doctrine. What I'm going to share with you today, you're going to think is brand spanking new, but it is brand spanking old. And it's in the 1880 edition of Bible Readings for the Home Circle. It's also in the 1897 edition of Daniel and Revelation. It's also in many places that Ellen White talks about. It's also in the Eastern Question by A.T. Jones. It's all over. Okay? Not new doctrine, but the revelation of the significance of that which had been taught from the beginning. What do we call that? The old paths. Here's the problem. It was his design that his disciples should take the plain, unadulterated truth for the guide of their life. They were not to add to his words or give a forced meaning of his utterances. They were not to put a mystical interpretation upon the plain teaching of the scriptures and draw from the theological stores to build up some man-made theory. It was through putting a mystical meaning upon the plain words of God that sacred and vital truths were made of little significance. Well, the theories of men were made prominent. And this is what we see right now and what we're going to address today, because I can't wait any longer. Because there's been too much false doctrine being taught, and the final events are happening, and you need to know. This is not new. I haven't made any of this up. I haven't conjured it up myself. It's all our original understandings, right from our church doctrine. Okay? Our original foundations. So this is talking about the omega of apostasy. Now, if we go down, I need to find the section here. I think I jumped down too far. Okay, right here. You know what? I'll just read it from, I think I jumped too far again. I'll just read it from the top. We are now to be on guard and not drawn away from the all-important message given of God for this time. Satan is not ignorant of the result of trying to define God and Jesus Christ in a spiritualistic, used here in reference to a system of interpretation, not spiritism, popularly called spiritualism, way that sets God and Christ as a non-entity, etc. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because people often think spiritualism is like spiritual formation, or is actual spiritualism where they talk to the dead and things like this. That's not the original spiritualism that Ellen White was addressing. A lot of the spiritualism was spiritualizing away the scriptures, where it's making symbols of things that are literal. That's changing our interpretation of prophecy, the spiritualism of prophecy. So now I'm going to switch back to the whiteboard, and we're going to continue diving into this. Okay. So we have this literal historical prophecy that's being talked about. If we go to verse 40, Daniel 11, verse 40, and at the time of the end, and I'm going to write it here so that nobody gets lost. Daniel 11, verse 40. Okay. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south, we're going to put an S, push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind. Okay, there's our whirlwind. With chariots, we're going to draw a nice, simple little chariot here. Okay. With horsemen, I'm not going to draw a horse, and with many ships. There's our ship. Okay, good enough? And he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. Let me ask you a very, very, very important question. Is there anything here that breaks natural law? According to Miller's rules, bookmarks in here, on rule number 11, okay? I'm going to put MR, Miller's rule, number 11, is how to understand if something's a symbol or if it's literal. Now, it has to break natural law. So beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, and it, speaking blasphemy and doing all these things. That breaks natural law. Is there anything here that a king that's north of Israel, because that's what we're talking about here, a king that's north of Israel is going to war a king that's south of Israel? And he's going to come at him with chariots and horsemen and with many ships. Anything unrealistic about a war like that? No. That's because it's not unrealistic. It's a totally real war. Now, it says in verse 40, and at the time of the end. Time of the end. Now, when is the time of the end? And I told you guys that we are racing through this. Ask questions and we'll hopefully come back, but pay attention to everything that's being said here because we're going to go really quickly. How do we answer this? The time of the end? When is the time of the end? We go to Daniel chapter 12. Okay, Daniel 12, the very next chapter. And we're going to start at verse 4. But thou, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book even to the time of the end. So the time of the end is when the book of Daniel is sealed. Now, the book of Daniel has been opened. And when was it opened? And Daniel asks, when is this going to happen? When is the book going to be opened again so people can understand? And then he says in verse, let me just find it here. Verse 7, and I heard the man clothed with linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and a half. So we have a time, a times, and a half a time. Now, what is this? We're going to get on a little quick, tiny side tangent. A time is 360, not 306, 360 days, biblically, okay? We're not going to prove this right now. A time is a year, and the Bible has Bible year is 360 days. Times would be twice that. So now we have 2 years, okay? And then we have a half, which is 180 days. And this equals 1,260 days. But the thing is, in Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 6, it says that a day equals a year. So that means this actually is 1,260 years. And did this actually take place? It 100% did in 538 all the way till 1798, which is exactly 1,260 years. The papacy reigned. So we have exactly 1,260 years. So when is the time of the end? It's after the 1,260 years end. Right here is our time of the end. TOE is the acronym, time of the end, that I use. So now if we go back here, in verse 40, that means there should be a war that is between 3 kings, north, south, and there's someone else called Ahim, okay? And these guys are warring. And it has to be in the year 1798. Now, was there a war in 1798? Well, in fact, there actually was. And you guys can look it up. The Battle of the Pyramids. Okay, go take a look at this. Now, who was involved in this war? Well, the king of the north would be north of Israel. I actually need to now share a map if we're going to do this correctly. Because in order to explain this properly, you guys really need to understand what's going on here. Okay. And I'm going to go back to Bible readings for the home. Map, Middle East. Okay. We're going to go to Google Maps. Now, if we take a look at this map here, and we look at Israel as the center point, and we look south. What's south? Well, Egypt is south of Israel. And what's north of Israel? Well, north of Israel is this country called Turkey, which in 1798, because remember, in verse 40, we're talking 1798, Turkey enveloped all of Syria and Lebanon. This was all Turkey. And that is what was directly north of Israel. So the king of the north in 1798 would have been the Ottoman Empire or the Turkish dynasty. Now, as we go through Daniel 11, the king of the north is always the northern part of the Grecian Empire because that's what's divided. You know, if we look at Daniel 8, there's a goat with 4 horns. And I'm going to actually do this. Goat, 4 horns, Daniel 8. And let's take a look at an image here. And let's see if I can find this one right here. Okay. So we have these 4 horns. And this was the 4 winds that they were directed in. And we have Thrace, we have Syria, we have Egypt, and we have Macedonia. This is actually wrong. Someone moved this horn. I need to find the correct one now because now everybody has the wrong image in their mind. This is the sneaky thing. People are changing history right here. This is what it should be. This little horn, because remember in Daniel 8, let's go there quickly. Daniel 8, people need to see this. Daniel 8, and we're going to read. And let's start at verse 3. Then I lifted mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram. Okay, there's this ram, and it has 2 horns, which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other. Just like in Daniel 7, on the bear, one shoulder was higher than the other. This represents Media Persia, the 2 horns, Media and Persia. And we're not guessing this. It literally says this in verse 20. Okay, so we're not making any assumptions here because the angel interprets it and says, the ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are kings of Media and Persia. Okay, no assumptions. Let the Bible explain itself. So we have this ram, this strong ram. And it says in verse 4, I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward. So if he's pushing west and north and south, where is he located? He's located in the east, right? Because he's come from the east and he's going west and south and north. Okay? So Persia should, by definition, or whatever this kingdom is, which is Persia because the Bible says so, should be in the east. Now, if we look at a map of the Middle East, right here, what is east? Well, Iran is in the east, and Iran is Persia. Okay, if anybody didn't know that, this is Persia. This is the kingdom of Persia, is Iran. Okay, back to the Bible. So is this kingdom of Persia literally east? Yes. Did it literally push north, south, and west? Yes. So this is the point. These directions are literal. They're not spiritual directions. They're literal directions with this ram. That's something really important. Numbers are always literal. So it says there's 2 horns or 10 horns. There's 10 kings. It's not spiritually 10 kings. It's literally 10 kings. And these directions are literal too. Now, if we keep going, it says in verse 5, and I was considered, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth. So where's he coming from? Spiritually west or literally west? Literally west. Where's Greece? In comparative of our compass here, it's west. Perfect. It matches the Bible. Amazing. Simple. Easy. Let's not overcomplicate this. Okay. Now, the goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between its eyes. One big horn. Okay. Started with this one big horn. And I saw him close unto the ram. And he was moved with choler against him and smote the ram and broke his two horns. So it took out Medo-Persia, which obviously that's what Alexander the Great did, the king of Grecia, which the Bible actually says the ram or the he-goat is Grecia. And the first big horn is the first king, which is Alexander the Great. But then it says something interesting. In verse 8, therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up four notable horns toward where? The four winds of heaven. Okay, so they went north, south, east, and west. It's so simple. Let's not spiritualize this away. If we could see what the Bible's saying, we wouldn't be confused and prophecy would be simple. My whole goal is to try and show you guys that prophecy is utterly simple. But all these spiritualizers are trying to make it complicated, so you have to keep going to them to hear the truth. Okay, now let's go back to Daniel 11. And it says, and I also, in the first year of Darius the Mede, I stood to confirm, to strengthen him. Now will I show thee the truth. The truth of what? Daniel must have been showed something that wasn't the truth. He must have been showed symbols again, like he was in Daniel 7. Well, what symbols? The only symbols left is Daniel 8. So Daniel 11 is actually Daniel 8, but the full story. This is absolutely amazing, which means it has to do with Medo-Persia and then Greece. And these are the players that we're dealing with here. Now I will show thee the truth, which means the interpretation, which means no symbols. There shall yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be richer than they all, and his strength through his riches he shall stir against the realm of Grecia. Verse 3, and a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken. Sounds exactly like Daniel 8, no different. And he shall divide the 4 winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion, which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others beside those. Okay, back to the screen. So when this took place and Alexander the Great died, his kingdom was divided to the 4 winds, and it was north, south, east, and west. Let me just get a map of this. Greece, 4 winds map. Oops. I had a little bit of a spelling error there. Okay, I might not have a perfect... You know what? I have another better map. I'll get to that. That I can show here. Let me pull this up. I'm going to try pull up a map here. Of exactly what we're talking about. This is critical. This is absolutely critical. So if you see on this goat, it has Egypt, Syria, Thrace, and Macedonia. Now, Macedonia was the western part of the kingdom. Okay, this was part of the west, was Macedonia. And notice this little horn comes out of one of the 4 horns. And that's what it says in Daniel 8. That's actually one of the verses I didn't read here. Verse 9, and out of one of them came forth a little horn. Now, which one? Well, obviously, it would have to come out of the one where Rome is, and that would be the Macedonian horn. And on the original Adventist charts, it shows this little horn coming out of Macedonia, which is the west. Now, why is that so important? If it is coming out of the west and Rome is from the west, could it be the king of the north? Well, obviously not, because it's from the west. And this is one of the most interesting points. I'm just opening. Okay. Wow, maybe I should just go through this whole presentation. Okay. Literal or spiritual? We're going to jump down here. You know, I was just going to show the map. So if we have more questions, we can get back to that. So here is a map of the 4 regions: north, south, east, and west. Okay. And this farther west area is from Macedonia, and that's where Rome is coming out of. So here we have the divisions where it has Cassander, Lysimachus, Seleucus, and Ptolemy. And these are the divisions. So now, when we go back to the Bible first, so we can pull off the slides for a minute here. And we go back to Daniel 11, and we've seen it started out with Persia, then it went to Greece, and it was north, south, east, and west. Very simple. So now when we get to verse 40, it's just the same thing that's been the whole entire time. It's talking about the king who's ruling the northern part of the Grecian Empire. Who is the king who's ruling that area now where Constantinople was? And that is the defining factor. So now we're going to go back to Bible readings for the home. And if we go okay. Let me find it here. Right here. So on page 393, I'm sorry if you can't see it. I'm pretty sure you can't. It says, what movements then does verse 40 call for according to the application made here? The breaking out of hostilities between Egypt and France and between Turkey and France, all in the year 1798. Okay? So we have this war that needs to happen in 1798. What we see here, verse 40, and at the time of the end, the king of the north shall come against him, the him who is previously talked about, and in Bible readings for the home, it calls that him France, and that's a whole different discussion. And then it says, shall come against him like a whirlwind with chariots, with horsemen, with many ships, and I skipped. The king of the south shall push at him, and the king of the north shall push at him. So south, Egypt; north, Turkey. And we should see a war like this. It says, what is the testimony of history at this point? It testifies that these very events did occur in that very year. Napoleon, on the strength of fancied Egyptian provocations, entered upon his Egyptian campaign in the spring of 1798 and was making an easy conquest of the country, when Turkey, through jealousy of the French and through opposition to their designs in Egypt, fostered by English diplomats, declared war against France on the 2nd of September of that year. England and Russia were in alliance with Turkey in this struggle, and their navies furnished the many ships of the prophecy, while their aid added to the whirlwind onset of the Turks. Okay. So we have a direct literal fulfillment of this very literal, simple prophecy. And in order to find it, all you need to do is a war between Turkey, France, and Egypt in 1798. Google that. Wikipedia literally will bring it up. It's so simple. And go look in the book Daniel and Revelation by Uriah Smith. He does an excellent job of this. Now, if we continue down, there was a point I was going to address here. It was when I was reading. Okay. Now, what some people, a lot of people say, the king of the north is the papacy. Because the original king of the north, they say, was Babylon. Is this true? Actually, it's 100% false. Babylon was never the king of the north. It's not even north. So if we look at our map here of the Middle East, and you see where Israel is, Babylon was literally directly east and a little bit south. So it totally does not apply, could not even apply to Babylon. Now, they say that there's verses, there's not one verse in the entire Bible that says Babylon is the king of the north. Never, 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 never. It's always in the area of Turkey, Constantinople, the northern part is always the king of the north. So one of the kings in the north was actually Assyria, which was in the area of Turkey. It's always been north of Israel, which how could the king of the north not be north of Israel? I mean, that's exactly what the whole Bible is talking about here. Now, a lot of people will say that this is spiritually Babylon, and so then it's the papacy. The problem with this is it says this war is happening in 1798. Well, when did the papacy receive its deadly wound? In 1798, but not just 1798, February 15, 1798. So at the start of the year, it's already out of the way. And it's obviously not going to be doing too much because February 15, deadly wound, it's out of the way. It has no ability to do these wars here. Now, unless you want to break the Bible and say, well, that is not actually happening in 1798, then you don't believe the Bible. Then you don't believe 1798 is the time of the end. Then you don't believe Daniel. And it's just a disaster if we start to do this and we start to question it. So we have this. Now we need to go down to verse 44. And this is where things get really serious. And we could go into a lot more detail. I'm going to be very careful with this 140-year-old book. If we look here, is there any other thing in Daniel 11, verse 40? And our point is 44, but 40 is really important to set the stage. That could tell us that this is actually the people that we're saying it is Turkey. Well, we have chariots, we have horsemen, we have whirlwind, we have ships, we have all these things. Let's go to Jeremiah. Get your pen and paper. This is not in the study notes. I'm sorry. We're going off script. Jeremiah chapter 4. Jeremiah 4. And we're going to start in verse 5. Declare ye in Judah and publish in Jerusalem and say, blow ye the trumpet in the land. Gather together and go say, assemble yourselves and let us go into the defense cities. Verse 7, the lion is come up from his thicket. So keep all these. I'm switching back to my whiteboard. I need you guys not to miss any of these critical elements here. Okay. So we have, I'm going to go back to Daniel 11 just to write down these things again. So we have chariots. We have ships. We have horsemen. We have a whirlwind. And it doesn't say it is a whirlwind. It says like a whirlwind, right? So it's using that as a descriptor. Like he came in here like a whirlwind. You know, that's exactly how it's using it. Okay. Now we're going to go to Jeremiah 4. And I want to move this down a bit. Move this down here. And we're going to Jeremiah 4. And we're starting in verse 5, and we're going to go all the way to verse 13. Jeremiah 4, 5 to 13. Okay? It says the lion. Okay, we have another descriptor here, and you're going to see why I'm adding this here. Lion. And it also connects it to a trumpet. So we have a trumpet. Okay. And it's the destroyer of Gentiles. What's another word for Gentiles? They're people who are against God, disobedient to God, not God's people, the opposite of God's people. And it's the cities are going to be laid waste. It's going to waste / destroy. Okay? Then, if we jump down to verse 11, at that time shall it be said to this people and to Jerusalem, a dry wind of the high places in the wilderness toward the daughter of my people, not to fan or to cleanse. So this wind that's coming, it's not a good one. It's not the cleansing. It is to cause waste and destruction. Okay? And what does wind represent in the Bible? Wind equals war. Wind is war. And you can look this up, Ellen White, you can look this up in the Bible. Wind is war. Okay? Verse 12, even a full wind. So now we have full wind. So if you have a partial wind, it might be just from the east. Oh, there's an east wind, there's a north wind, south wind, west wind. If it's a full wind, that means it's from all four corners. / four winds. Even a full wind from those places shall come unto me. Now also will I give sentence against them. Behold, he shall come up as clouds. Clouds. And his chariots, oh, there's the chariots again, shall be as a whirlwind. There's the whirlwind. His horses, there's the horses, are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled. That is quite something. Now, let's go to the book of Revelation. If we go to Revelation chapter 9, okay? Revelation chapter 9. You know what? I need another section here. Revelation 9. What's taking place in Revelation 9 is the fifth and the sixth trumpet. And we just seen trumpet connected to chariots and horsemen and whirlwind and destruction and all of this in Jeremiah and in Daniel 11. So now we have this trumpet. And let's take a look at verse 2. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, and the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke. And there came out of the smoke locusts. Okay, so I'm going to write locusts here. And you're gonna see what's happening here really soon. Locust. Upon the earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. Let's jump down to verse 7. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses. There's the horses again, prepared unto battle. So these are war horses. So this is like a wind. And on their heads, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. So horsemen. And they had hair as the hair of women, and the teeth were as the teeth of lions. So we have teeth of lions. And we have these locusts that are like horses, and they're prepared unto battle. And it says, and they had breastplates as were breastplates of iron, and the sound of the wings was the sound of chariots, of many horses running to battle. And then it says, the one woe is past. So Revelation 9 is talking about the fifth and sixth trumpet, which is the first woe and the second woe. Now, according to Great Controversy, GC, page 434. 334.4. Let me check this. Just to make sure I'm saying the right thing here. GC 344.4. 344. Yes, 334.4. Okay. 334.4. The fifth and sixth trumpet have already taken place, but we're waiting for the third woe. This has not happened yet. Now, we're seeing a connection to this player here. The chariots, the horsemen, the whirlwind, the lion, the clouds, the locust, the teeth of lions, the woe, the full wind, the waste, and destroyer of Gentiles, trumpets. Okay? Now, we're going to go from here. There's so many places that we could be going right now. Okay. We're going to go back to Daniel 11. Back to Daniel 11. Now, this locust, who is the locust? Okay, we have to prove this out. Go to Judges. Judges chapter 6. Judges chapter 6. Stay with me, everyone. Judges 6. And we're going to write this. Where did I write this? Down lower. Judges 6, verse 5 and 6. And then we're going to go to 7, verse 12. And then we're going to go to 8, verse 24. Okay? Judges 6, 5, and 6. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and their children of Israel cried unto the Lord. Now, I'm going to back up. I'm going to change this to verse 4. And I need some water. Okay. Verse 4, and they encamped against them and destroyed the increase of the earth till they came unto Gaza. You're going to start seeing some incredible connections here. So they came unto Gaza. Now we go back to verse 5. And they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers or locusts. It's the same creature, grasshoppers and locusts, for multitude, for both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. So these Midianites are like locusts, and they destroy the land. Go to 7:12. 7 verse 12. And the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the children of the east. So now this is the children of the east, lay along the valley like grasshoppers for multitude. Now we go to 8 verse 24. And Gideon said unto them, I would desire a request of you, that you would give me every man the earrings of his prey. For they had golden earrings, and that earring there was actually a crescent earring. Crescent moon earring. It says, for they had golden earrings because they were Ishmaelites. So the locusts are the descendants of Ishmael. These are the Muslim nations that are being talked about in the Bible right now. And we have this king of the north, which is connected to the whirlwind, the grasshoppers, the horsemen, the whirlwind, the chariots, the trumpets, all of this. Okay, now we're going to go to the book of Joel. I told you we're going everywhere. The book of Joel. The book of Joel. Now you're going to see this. This is absolutely amazing. The book of Joel. It's basically the whole book. And we're going to go down to verse 4. That which the palmworth hath left, hath the locust eaten, and that which the cankerworm hath left, hath the caterpillar. That which the palmworm hath left, hath the locust eaten, and that which the locust hath left, hath the cankerworm eaten, and that which the cankerworm hath left, hath the caterpillar eaten. If you study this out, each of these insects is actually the same insect. It's just 4 stages or kinds of locusts: the chewing locust, the flying locust, the swarming locust. They're all locusts. Now, if we go down to verse 6, for a nation. So what are these locusts? They're a nation. And that's what we see. It's like beast. In prophecy, we see beasts. This locust is a beast representing a kingdom. It is a nation. Revelation 9, the locust is a locust power. It is the locust beast signifying a nation. And in Great Controversy, it's the Ottoman power. That's what Ellen White says in Great Controversy 334.4, that this is the Turkey government, or the country of Turkey, the Turkish power. So it's a nation. It says, come up upon my land strong without number, just like in Judges, whose teeth are the teeth of a lion. Where did we see that? In Revelation chapter 9. Now we're going to go down. 10, the field is wasted. We've seen wasting in Jeremiah. And all these things are going to start flowing. And it's just absolutely incredible. Now, if we continue down, verse 15, alas for the day of the Lord is at hand, and as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. So this nation is going to come and it's going to destroy, almost as if God sent it to destroy. And who's it destroying? The Gentiles. Now it says in verse 17, the seed is rotted under the clods. The garners are laid desolate. It's desolating. The barns are broken down. The corn is withered. How do the beasts groan? The herd of cattle are perplexed because they have no pasture. Yea, the flocks of sheep are made desolate. Verse 19, O Lord, to thee will I cry, for the fire hath devoured the pastures of the wilderness, and the flame hath burned all the trees of the field. So we have another descriptor now, which is fire. Now, if we quickly jump back to chapter 9 in Revelation, keep your thumb in Joel, Revelation 9, and if we go and see Revelation 9 and verse 17, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were the heads of lion, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. So now we have fire, we have smoke, and we have brimstone. These are fire-breathing locust horses. And that breaks natural law, which means it's a symbol. And then Joel tells us that's a nation, just like Daniel does. And this is the nation of the people of the East. And specifically here, we're talking about one specific locust that is in the north. Now, if we go to chapter 2 of Joel, Joel 2, blow ye the trumpet. We see the trumpet again in Zion and sound an alarm. What is the trumpet? It's an alarm of war. So these locusts are bringing war. The winds, the whirlwind, the war of the four corners. Excuse me. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, it is nigh at hand. What is the day of the Lord? If we look in Revelation 16, the day of the Lord is the day of the plagues. 18 verse, if we go to Revelation 16, you can see that, but also Revelation 18, I believe it's verse 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. She shall be utterly burned with fire. This is crazy, guys. This is absolutely unbelievable. The day of the Lord. So this is the day of the plagues, the year of the plagues that is coming. And it says in verse 2 of Joel 2, verse 2, a day of darkness. We've seen darkness in Revelation 9 connected with the smoke and with the locust. Now, if we continue down, verse 3, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. It's desolating. Again, we see all the same symbolism here. Verse 4, and the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. It's always the same power. I mean, we can continue down here. We don't even have time to go through everything here. But it's so incredible, the detail. Now let's go back to Daniel. We're not done going in other places yet. We got some more places to go. But we're going to take a detour back to Daniel just to get our bearings again. Okay, locusts. Someone asked, locusts don't break the rules of nature, but locusts that are like horsemen and are fire-breathing definitely defy the laws of nature. So this is definitely breaking the laws of nature. Now we go back to 11. And remember, now this is not symbol. This is literal. This is literal here. Nothing's breaking the laws of nature. So we have the king of the north, which is Turkey. And it is Turkey all the way through. Let's go down to verse 44. Daniel 11:44. And I'm going to draw something here. So we have, this is basically the sea here. This is Israel. Right there. We have Turkey. We have Iran. And then actually north of here, we have Russia. Okay? One second. Okay. Now, verse 44, but tidings out of the east. Where was the east? What kingdom did we see pushing from the east? And he was pushing westward and northward and southward. That was Persia, right? Which is modern day Iran. And we're going to put this here. Persia. Okay? And we're going to put east. According to the Bible, this is the east. So tidings out of the east. So we need to be hearing. Now, this word tidings means news. So if we're looking at this, we should hear news about a war regarding Iran. But tidings out of the east and out of the north. So this king of the northern part of the Grecian Empire, there should be news from north of him, which is Russia. There should be news here of war. Shall trouble him. So Turkey, the king of the north, will be troubled. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly to make away many. This will cause him to be angry and to destroy. Is that not what we've seen? The other prophecies was saying that the locust power, this is going to destroy. And then it says in verse 45, and he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Now, this glorious holy mountain, there's no symbols being said here. This is location, purely location. This is not Jews. This is not the people. This is location, okay? Glorious holy mountain, location. Just like north, south, east, west, location. What does this mean? That Turkey is going to come and it is going to war Israel and it is going to move and put its tabernacle. That means its seat of religious government in Jerusalem, the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end in Jerusalem, and none shall help him. So verse 44, we're supposed to be hearing news of war from Iran, and then we're supposed to be hearing news that Russia's getting involved, and this will stir Turkey to war. Turkey will move to Jerusalem, and then, and I'm going to put this in orange, it will be removed from Jerusalem. And this is the end of the last verse of Daniel 11:45. And what is the next thing that takes place? The next thing is 12 verse 1, which is the close of probation. This is the sign for the close of probation. When the king of the north moves to Israel and sets up his palace there, his tabernacle there, and when he's removed, this is a sign of the close of probation. Now, I know there's going to be a million questions right now, and we're going to see this in more places than just this because we need 2 or 3 witnesses to make something established. We see this in Revelation. We see this here. I'm going to show you several other places that this is actually prophesied about. Now, we go to Isaiah. Isaiah 27. Isaiah 27. And it says, hath he, in verse 7, Isaiah 27, 7. Isaiah 27, verse 7 and onwards. And he hath smitten him as he smote those that smote him, or is he slain according to the slaughter of them that are slain by him? So it's talking about a slaughter. Now, where do we see a slaughter? We see this in Ezekiel chapter 9. Ezekiel 9, and it says in verse 2, and behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth towards the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. So there's a slaughter that's coming. But before the slaughter, verse 4, and the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark. The sealing and the marking takes place before the day of slaughter. Isaiah 27, it's talking about something that happens just before the day of slaughter. Verse 8, in measure when it shooteth forth, thou wilt debate with it. How much debate is there about Daniel 11 right now, about the Eastern question, about all these things? There's a huge debate with it. He stayeth his rough wind. There's another term for the four winds. His rough wind or whirlwind, very rough wind. In the day of the east wind. So as the four winds are being held, there's going to be an east wind blowing. Now, let's look at this again. Four winds. In our timeline, this is the close of probation, COP, close of probation, the four winds. We can see this in Revelation 7. Okay? We wait for the people of God to be sealed, and then the four winds blow. We've seen in Ezekiel, it's the sealing and then the slaughter. So this close of probation kicks off something called the time of trouble. This is Daniel 12:1. 12 verse 1. The four winds blowing. Now, when the four winds are held, it says there's something else that we're going to see, and there's going to be an east wind. And what is wind? It's war. So we're going to see a war in Iran. An east wind blowing. And this is going to happen before the four winds. It's a sign that the four winds are going to start blowing. Now, let's go to Exodus. Exodus chapter 10. Exodus 10. And we're going to read verse 13. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day and that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locust. And what did we see in Daniel 11, verse 44? The wind of the east, the tidings in the east, the war in the east is going to cause the locust, the Turk, to go to Jerusalem, and it's going to cause it to destroy. This wind from the east, perfect typology here, is causing the locust to come and devour and destroy Egypt. But then we look at verse 19. And the Lord turned a mighty strong west wind. Oh boy. Oh boy. So now this causes locusts to come. But something has to remove the locust from Jerusalem. And this is the west wind. And remember, we said there's an eastern-western question. What is in the west? What is the west? This is a war from America. So we're going to see a west wind blowing, an east wind blowing, and involvement from the north. We've seen in the news right here that Russia is thinking about getting involved in this war. So we're going to hear tidings from the east and from the north. It's going to trouble the Turk, and Turkey is getting angry, and they will destroy. There will be war. Then they're going to move to Israel, and then there's going to be a west wind, a war from the west. that blows and removes Turkey from Jerusalem. And this is the sign that the four winds will immediately start blowing. There's so much happening here. Let me go to some questions, because I know there's going to be a ton of questions right now. Okay. Candy M. So is it actually Syria now that is the king of the north? And this is a great question. Here's the reality. What just happened in the Middle East? Turkey is in charge of Syria. Turkey is in charge of Syria right now. And this is unprecedented. So you can look this up. They have total control over this area, and they are ruling Syria. The original Ottoman Empire was that whole area. And we're going to see that all over again, taking over of the area. Okay. Ali Cole at Amazing Discoveries. How is two-wheeled chariot used as a gun? Okay. Let me share this. I'm going to share my screen again. Different screen, though. Just give me 1 second. I will show you this in one moment. Okay. I need to share my screen again. Okay. Do you see a two-wheeled chariot gun? This is the Turkish cannon. This is the fire-breathing Turk. This is the two-wheeled chariot that they used. It's exactly as the Bible wrote it. It is amazing. The Bible is so clear. Candy M. Mackenzie, was the papacy ever the king of the north? Did the papacy ever control Constantinople/Turkey? We have to rephrase your question to, did the papacy ever rule from Constantinople or Turkey? And the answer is no. Because the king of the north is one that is ruling from the north. And the papacy never did that. So the papacy never was the king of the north. And this is something that is so misrepresented to try and shoehorn in this idea. And just so everybody knows, this idea that Daniel 11 is spiritually the king of the north papacy did not even come into play until after Ellen White died. Never. People bring up James White, people bring up all this. He still believed it was literal. He was like, I wonder if the papacy will literally go to Constantinople and then literally be in Jerusalem, rule from Jerusalem. So that was the question. He was wondering, is it Turkey or is it the papacy? But both literal, never spiritualizing a verse. It was always literal. And that's why, everybody's seen this is not the case. So no, the answer is no. It's never been the king of the north. Anonymous, what is the difference between whirlwind and full wind? I believe it is the same. From the study that I have done, I believe it is the same thing, the full wind and the whirlwind. Let me give you an example of this. If we go to Revelation 13, and all good Bible students should know this. Revelation 13 and verse 1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Now, what does sea represent? Well, everybody will say Revelation 17:15, and I would agree 100%. So we go there, and it says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, Where the horse sitteth are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. But here's the thing. Does it use the word sea or does it say waters? So it's two words, but it's the same thing, right? Sea is waters. So it's we have to, we're reading what the Bible's saying, using common sense here. So the full wind is all four, coming from four directions. Destructive wind and whirlwind. To me, and what I see in the context going throughout the rest of the Bible, it is represented the same thing. It's a fascinating study. Go and look up whirlwind, and you can search it through. It's always these people of the East and connected to the people of the East. Okay. Candy M. I was under the impression that in DNR, verse 44 has already been fulfilled also back in their day. Did I just hear that verse 44 is what's happening now? So let me read you a quote from Ellen White. This is from 19 Letters and Manuscripts, letter 103, 1904, paragraph 17. Maybe someone can share that in the chat. We have no time to lose. Troublous times are before us. The world is stirred with the spirit of war. Does this sound like Daniel 11 is spiritual to you, or it's literal war, according to Ellen White? Soon the scenes of trouble spoken of in the prophecies will take place. The prophecy of the 11th of Daniel, talking about war, according to Ellen White, has nearly reached its complete fulfillment. Much of the history that has taken place in fulfillment of this prophecy will be repeated. So we're seeing that this is going to be repeated, and why? Ezekiel, where we're talking about the dry bones, 37. Ezekiel, yes, Ezekiel 37, right? Why am I questioning myself here? I'm going to check it really quick. Yes, Ezekiel 37. I'll just read it now that I'm here. He sees these. He's in the midst of the valley, which was full of dry bones, and the bones were very dry. And he said to me, prophesy unto these bones. What wakes the bones? Prophecy. Prophecy is what wakes the bones, but not any prophecy. Get this, guys. I think this is providence that God made me turn here. Listen very carefully. Saith the Lord unto these bones, but I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live, and I will lay sinew upon you. So I prophesied as I was commanded. We are commanded to prophesy, but not just anything. Keep listening. And there was a noise, and behold, a great shaking. So the prophesying caused the shaking amongst God's people, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. But when he beheld the sinews, there was no breath in them. So they didn't become alive yet. So what had to happen? He said unto me, prophesy again. We're supposed to prophesy again. The same things, not change our beliefs, give the same thing. And about what? Unto the wind. Prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord God, come from the four winds. And when we prophesy about the four winds, the bones live. This is absolutely incredible. Now, if we go to Daniel 11, verse 44, it says, but tidings plural. And even in Uriah Smith, there's multiple tidings that are mentioned. Now, here's the big question. Are we on the final tidings? This is a very solemn question. I believe it's very likely that we're on the very final tidings of verse 44, which what does that mean? Verse 45 is the next thing to take place. If this is the final tidings, we need to be so ready. We need to be preparing. We need to leave the cities immediately because war upon war upon war is coming, and it's coming to America. There's going to be a west wind, and it's going to be there's going to be four winds, which means it is a global world war. That is what we're expecting. Now, while I have it open, Okay. And just so everybody knows, our Daniel 11 study guide is going to be released very soon. And you should sign up to be notified. Sign up to our prophecy newsletter so you can be notified about that. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. Right here. This is serious stuff. This is serious stuff. What is the Eastern question? Okay. I maybe need to back up. Let's see here. Eastern question. Whew. This is a lot, guys. This is going to be our longest live stream yet. Okay, the Battle of Armageddon, literal or spiritual. This is a presentation I have not recorded publicly. Not yet. Okay. Revelation 16:16, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Is this literal or is this spiritual? Again, we need to really be honest to the text here in Revelation 16 and not spiritualize. What Ellen White said we do not do is spiritualize away the plain, thus saith the Lord. Testimonies for the Church, Volume 6, page 14. We are standing upon the threshold of great and solemn events. Prophecies are fulfilling. Strange, eventful history is being recorded in the books of heaven. Everything in our world is in agitation. There are wars and rumors of wars. The nations are angry. And at the time of the dead should come. I'm going to skip down. As yet the four winds. Okay, here it is. Revelation 7. Revelation 7. You didn't expect this today. Revelation 7:1. And after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth. And if winds represent war, it is world war from all four corners of the earth. The wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree until the servants of God are sealed. Now we see here, as yet the four winds are held in connection to wars and rumors of wars until the servants of God shall be sealed in their foreheads. Then the powers of the earth shall marshal their forces for the last great battle. This is not spiritual in any sense. We're going to see this even more. The nations of the world are eager for conflict, not spiritual conflict. Let's not spiritualize this away. But they are held in check by the angels holding the four winds. When this restraining power is removed, there will come a time of trouble. So when the angels let loose the four winds, that starts the time of trouble. In Daniel 12:1, deadly instruments of warfare will be invented, not deadly instruments of spiritual warfare. Vessels with their living cargo will be entombed in the great deep. All who have not the spirit of truth will unite under the leadership of satanic agencies. But they are to be kept under control till the time shall come for the great battle of Armageddon. It's right there. This literal battle of Armageddon, literal war, deadly instruments of warfare are coming, and this is a literal, serious world war. How does this connect to the Eastern question? Great Controversy 334 in the year 1840, another remarkable event. The prediction of the fall of the Ottoman Empire, Turkish government. We're not going to go through this. What does she say about she talks about Elder Smith spoke in the morning upon the Eastern question. It was of special interest, just what the people wanted to hear. Uriah Smith, the Eastern question. I feel so grateful Brother Smith is not lost to the cause. He seems fully and thoroughly united with us. When he's talking about the Eastern question, he's united with Ellen White. Elder Smith spoke with great clearness. Elder Daniel speaks this evening upon the Eastern question. May the Lord give his Holy Spirit to inspire the hearts to make the truth plain. And please do not go and make the spirit of prophecy of none effect, saying she's not saying the truth is the Eastern question, when she's literally saying the Eastern question, may the Holy Spirit inspire the hearts to make the truth plain. If you do that, you make of none effect the spirit of prophecy. I'm being very straight tonight. There's no time left in this world to not be straight and not to tell you the truth until you get out of the cities and start preparing. Get yourself a mountain country property immediately. Immediately. Go to our How to Country channel. We have lots of information there. We have more coming. Our farm.amazingdiscoveries.org, our farm apprenticeship program. You need to be learning country living skills. Look at this. Evangelism 577. There's need of a much closer study of the Word of God, especially should Daniel and Revelation. Now, we have attention as never before in the history of our work. We may have less to say in some lines in regard to the Roman power and the papacy. Why? Because the east wind and the north is blowing. That's the next things. We're seeing an east wind, tidings from the east and from the north, and then the locust is going to go to Israel. Then we're going to see a west wind, and then the four winds. These are the next events that are going to happen. Daniel 11 guide again, guys, is coming soon. Make sure you sign up. Okay. Now, I'm going to skip through some of this. What is the Eastern question? This is by Wagner. The Turk himself understands that he'll be driven from Europe and that then the Messiah will come. The one sure thing in this world is the fulfillment of prophecy. The events which follow the removal of the Turkish capital to Jerusalem, Daniel 11:45, are narrated in Revelation 16:12-21. The Battle of Armageddon is one of them. Elliot Wagner again, the scenes of conflict become the land of Palestine. It is here the battle of the last day of Armageddon. The king of the north is to come to his end. The development of the Eastern question. This is the present truth. What then are the scriptures to relate to Turkey in this time? The last verse of Daniel 11 relate to Turkey, which is the king of the north. This is A.T. Jones. A.T. Jones again. The last plagues, the preparing of the way of the kings of the east, and the gathering of the kings to the world war and world battle of Armageddon is the final meaning and the only culmination of the Eastern question. And this is what Ellen White said was the truth and needed to be made plain. These are so serious times that we're living in right now. And people are seeing as if there's been no clarity on this, and it's written over and over and over again. We see it over and over. These judgments are coming. The locusts are coming, and they're going to destroy. If we go back to Joel, I got to go back to Joel. Joel is one of my absolute favorite books in the entire Bible. Why? I have a personal experience with Joel. This book. And I'll maybe tell a little bit more of the details of the story another time. But if we go back here, Joel chapter 3, verse 9, proclaim ye among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. No more harvest. This is after the harvest is done. There's no more sowing, no more seeding, no more harvest. We're in war. Assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. This battle of Armageddon, these events that are connected to Daniel 11, verse 44 and 45, we are seeing them fulfilling before our very eyes. Is this the final tidings from the east and the north? I don't know. But what I do know is if I know that there's a tidings that's coming from Iran and from Russia, and it's going to cause the Turk to destroy, and it's going to cause them to war, and then they're going to go to Jerusalem, and they are going to have a war with America, and there's going to be a West war, and the Turk is going to bomb America. That's what the Bible is talking about here. then I need to tell people get out of the cities, because that is where the effects of war take place. And there's so much I'm not even saying right now because we don't have time. There is so much more to this story here. We've gone over a lot, but there is a lot more to this. Okay. John has a quick question. From what I understand, the Third World War happens after probation closes. That is what I understand too. It will start, though, before probation closes. And there's several reasons for that. We're going to have wars starting. There's going to be a final battle in this Third World War called the Battle of Armageddon. Now, I'm going to share with you one more thing, if I can find it really quick. I think I can. Give me one moment. I'm going to share one more thing here. Okay. I think I got it. And I'll share my screen again. Okay. Albert Pike letter to Mazzini, predicting 3 world wars. The First World War must be brought in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the powers of the czars in Russia and to make that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergence caused by the agenda of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. Did it happen? Yes. Is it because they're prophetic, that he's prophetic? No, because they are causing these wars to take place. And this is their plan. They want these wars. We're going to step down to the Third World War. Must be fomented by taking advantage of differences caused by the agenda of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, must destroy each other. This is making the hair stand up on the back of my neck. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We should unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism. So he wants to remove absolute atheism, origin of savagery, of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate these destroyers of civilization, the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from the moment be without compass or direction. So they're saying, we need God, we need Christ, we're Christian. We need direction. Anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer. What is this guy saying? The Third World War is going to involve the Muslim nations. It is going to remove them. And then the plan, it's not God's plan. Satan is going to appear and is going to be Christ to all these people who need a spiritual compass. This is another hint to a deception that Satan is coming before the Sunday law. That is a very scary deception. Satan is coming after that. He's coming at the close of probation. We will study that. That is one of the studies that we're going to be going over. We're going to have all the verses and all the references for this. You have to be watching what is happening. God is going to tell his people ahead of time, and we're seeing the warning signs. If we're seeing tidings from the east and the north troubling Turkey to cause Turkey to say that we're going to do the things that it's saying right now, we need God's mercy. We need help. As a people, we need to wake up. The preaching about the four winds to the bones is what wakes the bones. We need to wake up, stop being Laodicean. All the virgins slept. It's fine, but you better wake up, and you better get the oil in your lamp, and you better start studying, and you better be prepared, and you better get out of the city before it's too late and you can't get out anymore. And then you're destroyed with the judgments that are coming on the wicked. And if you're destroyed with a judgment that's intended for wicked, you're not righteous. This is really serious. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to scare anyone. It's not scary if we know and we can see the signs and we can do the things that God tells us. He told Noah, there's a flood coming. Noah could have said, whoa, I'm scared. But God said, build a boat and I'll protect that boat. God says, get a country property in the mountains, away from the cities, away from the wars, away from the destruction, and raise your own food, because the problem of buying and selling will be very, very serious. So thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us this long. It's almost been 3.5 hours. These are such important things. Please share. Please study. Look up the Eastern Quest. Just search it on the Ellen White, website, CD-ROM, whatever you have, app. Get these resources. The Eastern Question by A.T. Jones. The Exposing Deceptions on Daniel and Revelation. Get the book Daniel and Revelation. We have the full book, the 1897 edition, the one before it was changed. The Trimonite Cry. All of these things are very important to study. If you haven't already, please order the Miller's Rules bookmark. Get very familiar with these rules. And we also have our Bible Symbols bookmark. I can't see it right now. Country Living, the booklet. We need physical things to talk to people physically. If it's no buy, no sell, and we want resources, we want to be able to read things, you need a physical Bible. And right here, this is the book, Daniel Revelation by R.S. Smith. It's nice and thin, quick, easy read. Not really. But a very critical read. When you start reading this, things will open up, and the Bible's going to be so incredible. So incredible. And there's things in here that he did not put that I would add. I'd make this book twice as thick. It's so packed. So you can get this from us as well, 1897 edition, the one that Ellen White talks about, not the new one, where they changed everything. We are having these studies every single week. It is a lot of effort to do that, but we have such a passion right now to warn the world. Also, we're doing everything that we can to get people ready and show them how to do this. I don't know if you've been already to our How to Country YouTube channel. You might have already seen on our Amazing Discoveries main channel, we posted a video and a short the other day talking about an event that we just had for the public. It was a farm day, opening of our farm here for the public. And every week, Sunday and Monday, we're open. We're selling veggies. We're giving them experience. We're talking about the garden. We're talking about why we're doing this here. And it's an amazing witnessing tool. We had 150 people come out, around 150 people last Sunday for our opening. And we're just keeping building this because we need to warn the people. And if people want to come and they want to learn how to do this, it's not just for us. We want people to come, learn how to do this, and this is what they can do to support themselves in the country. They can move from the city and they can do a garden and they can sell to support their family. and grow and have their children doing these practical things away from all the evil influences of the city. It's an amazing thing, an amazing witnessing tool, and I really pray that God guide each and every one of you, that you start studying like you never have, that this, if nothing else, triggers you to study your Bible like you never have before. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the 10th study in the Final Countdown studies. So if you haven't already, go back to the start working your way through. We've talked about a lot of things already, and we're just getting warmed up. So thank you so much. Have a good rest of your evening. God bless. We better get to sleep because we have an open farm tomorrow where we're going to be talking with the community and sharing and showing them the garden. God bless and have a good night.